Okay, it's top of the hour. Well, I know we are getting more participants. I hope we are going to get more as we go. Next slide, Sarah. Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Solomon Haile. I'm the National Program Director, National Program Leader for the Higher Education Challenge. And today we'll be presenting you a webinar on the Higher Education Challenge for the 2023 RFA announcement and technical assistant webinar. Next, please. First thing is first, the meeting logistics. This webinar will be recorded. Please make sure your microphones are muted. The Zoom technical support number is given on the screen. After you dial this number, call the option 2 to get assistance if needed. Throughout the presentation, you are welcome to write your questions on the question and answer section, which you will see on the lower portion of the screen. All this presentation will be available on the website that is listed on the screen after some time. We'll keep you posted through the emails that we collect on this presentation about the availability of this recorded video. Next, please. This is the non-discrimination statement of USDA NIFA. The NIFA does not discriminate against based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, gender identity, including gender expression, sexual orientation, disability, age, marital status, family and parental status, income, delivered from public assistance program, political belief, and reprisal or retaliation of prior civil rights activities. USDA is an equal opportunity provider, employer, and lender. This description of non-discrimination statement is also found on the website listed on the top. Next. So today, as introduction of the NIFA supporting program staff, I myself will be presenting the webinar. Here with me is also a program specialist, Sarah. I will let her introduce herself.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. I'm Sierra Campbell, a program specialist here at NIFA. I'm here to support with any questions that you may have. You can feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A box. Afterwards, feel free to email me with any outstanding questions or concerns that you may have.
Also with us, we have previously was managing as a program specialist, Donovan. I will let you introduce yourself too.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is, my name is Donovan McLaurin. I'm a program specialist at NIFA, and I'm here to support you all today.
Thank you, Donovan. We have also support our ASL interpreter and NIFA support from accommodation. Next, please, Sarah. So today we'll be covering the following topics. For those of you who are new to NIFA, we'll give you some NIFA overview, the program overview, which is the Higher Education Challenge Grant. We'll also go through the request for application as abbreviated RFA details, indicating to the page number where you can find the details of the information. We also go through the proposal evaluation process. Once you apply and submit your proposal, what happens to those, and additional information and resources that would be helpful along this side. Next, please. So NIFA, to those who are new to NIFA and those who wants to be reminded about NIFA, what it is. NIFA is located in the USDA mission area of research, education, and economic mission area. We are focused on extramural scientific funding act, and then NIFA invests and supports this initiative that ensures the long-term viability of agriculture. NIFA also provides funding for strategic leadership for programs that ensure groundbreaking discovery and agriculture-related science and technology that should be put into practice. Next, please. As you can see here on this screen, NIFA covers a lot of areas, very wide topic. I'm sure if you look into the different categories here, you will find yourself or your area of study somewhere covered under this. So I encourage you to explore the other opportunities that NIFA provides under the different programs. As you can see, animals, business and economics, environment, education, like this grant, food science, international, and also plant science to be some of this. So as you can see, we have a lot of topics that are covered under NIFA. In correspondence to corresponding to those area of topics, also there are grant programs that may cover one or more of these topics. So I encourage you to explore the different programs under NIFA. Next, please. Coming back to our program, the main purpose of the higher education challenge grant is to enhance the quality of instruction for bachelor degree or master's or the first professional in veterinary science to help the current and future workforce needs in the food, agriculture, natural resource, and human science. And also to increase the number and diversity of students who will pursue and compete for post-secondary degree in the above areas. So in the RFA, next please. There are on page 6 to 7, the priority of the programs are listed. So these programs are listed for you to try to address them when you are writing your project. It's very important to attempt to address those priority areas. Strengthening the institutional capacity to respond to state, regional, or national, international education needs, to attract and support undergraduate and graduate students in national need area, which is in food and agricultural science, to cooperate among yourself. Institutional cooperation is also one of the goals of this program within the area of food and agricultural science. And by so doing, improving the teaching program under that area. We also aim to design and implement food and agricultural science programs that will attract minority students or that build the minority capacity of the institution. We also want to conduct undergraduate scholarship program to meet the national and international needs for training in food and agricultural sciences that produces scientists and professionals in that area, to increase the diversity of the students in food and agricultural science, enhance the quality and instruction that meets the workforce need in the food and agricultural science, and promote and promising individuals to excel in food and agricultural science through the graduate and postgraduate or postdoctoral fellowship programs. So those are interconnected goals to each other that you can try to address in your proposal to be submitted for this program. More detail, again, is on page 6 to 7 of the RFA. Next, please. The HEC project that we want to fund is expected to fulfill the following 3 core points. To produce a measurable impact that aligns with the listed goals and priorities that I mentioned in the previous slide. To promote innovative and in educational practice within the food and agricultural science that improves how students learn. Students learn different ways. So projects that will come up with a very innovative way to help students and find ways to diversify the learning practice is welcome or expected product from those projects. We also look forward or expect to include a rigorous evaluation component that assesses the project outcome. Evaluation is an important component in making sure whether a project has been successful or not. So this is one of the expectation in this program. For more detail, again, on page 7 of the RFA is explained. Next, please. So the primary focus of the HEC project or the higher education challenge is not 2-year or high school program. It focuses bachelor or graduate or the first level of DMV, DVM programs are the focus of this, and they have to be on agricultural and food science. It's very important to follow this focus or to be note of this primary focus when you are thinking a project. If you are trying to include 2-year program or high school student, they have to be geared to those programs, or they have to be contributing or enhancing those programs. For example, you might have projects that involve high school or 2-year program, but they have to have aim that enhances a program of a bachelor or a 4-year degree in food and agricultural science program. Again, you can look on page 6 and 7 of the RFA to for more details on this one. Next, please. So who is eligible to apply for this program? Very much a wide range of eligibility is listed here. In general, colleges and universities that have the capability of teaching or demonstrated the capability of carrying out a food and agricultural science program, especially with a bachelor and first professional degree in at least one discipline in the food and agricultural science are eligible ones. So I hope you will find yourself included in all this eligibility because it ranges, or it's a wide range of eligibility to apply. Next, please. So when you submit the application and when we award the grant, what are some of the important limitations that you need to be aware? We have seen that the eligibility is very wide. So there is with that, we expect more applications to come. With regard to the application submission, there is no cap on the number of applications for an eligible institution that may be submitted. But it is very important to know that there is some limitation when we award the awards, because funding is always limited. So it tries to be awarded so that it reaches all eligible applicants in some way. So some of the restrictions that are applied to this one is there's only maximum of 2 awards for each year for one organization. And at the same time, I will come back later to the type of grants. One of the type of grants which have the highest amount of money on it, with the maximum of 750,000, the CG2 or the cooperative grant 2 has restrictions on that one. And that is, we can only grant one of those per institution per year. And at the same time, if that particular institution within a certain unit already have an existing grant of that type, then the unit will not be able to get another one in the same year. So if you have active grant with CG2, it's considered that the probability of getting that is lower than others. Next, please. With regard to type of application, the most common type is the new application, but we have also resubmitted applications. In that case, we expect you to include a response to the previous review panel summary. You have to address that in one page and add that one into the narrative. This resubmitted application, the criteria and the due date is applied also for this year. So they are treated the same way as the applications that are submitted for this year. So criteria and due dates have the same to those application also. And also remember to enter the NIFA assigned proposal number from the previous application. Next, please, Sarah. Projects and grant type. Of course, this grant only supports education or teaching, the common way of coding. So we are referring to formal teaching as compared to extension and research. So this is a research type of, education type of project. With regard type of grants, we have 4 types of grants. The first one is the planning activity, which amounts maximum of 30,000. The standard grant, which amounts 150,000 maximum budget. We also 2 collaborative grants, collaborative 1 and 2. We call them in abbreviation in the whole RFA with CG1 and CG2. And information about those are also found on page 10 and 13. The collaborative project, you might be interested to know what the difference is between those 2 projects or grants. The collaborative one means you have one more partner other than the applicant. So the applicant plus 1 collaborator. In that case, the amount of money you have to get is 300,000. So the scope of the issue that is addressed in this one is also a little bit limited as compared to the CG2, and addresses significant issues at institutional level, maybe at institutional level of the two institutions. One important thing that you have to note in this one is the share should 50% of the funding should go to the collaborator. And the CG2, on the other hand, requires at least 2 partners and addresses issues at the state, regional, or national level, very wider scope of issues. And the lead institution can retain from 30 to 70% of the award, but they have to make sure that each partner gets at least 10% of the share. And all the information about this is listed on page of the RFA. There are educational needs that are identified in the RFA. The curriculum development, in instructional delivery system, and expanding of student care opportunity. This is one need area that this year's grant and the program focused on. The faculty preparation and enhancement of teaching, facilitating interaction or cooperation between institutions. There is on the next slide to look into the details of activities as examples, which is also listed on page 10 and 12 of the RFA. Next, please. So as I said, need area 1, if you remember, is institutional support to improve the instruction. So it could be like developing courses. In this case, remember, we are not interested in developing one course. We want to see entirety of the program. So courses that make impacts to the program, degree program, instructional material, use of new approach to study traditional subjects, the student experiential learning. This is related to student career opportunity and options in active learning, such as apprenticeship, internship, and also career coaching, and so forth. I will come back later, this regard. This year, we want you to include the mentoring program or mentoring plan with your project. This is associated with creating opportunity career for students. In area need 2, we want you to have examples like developing self-sustaining model for faculty, professional development learner about latest advances in cutting-edge technology. That's pertinent, of course, to the duties that they are doing currently. Learn innovative applications in disciplines by collaborating with other scientists or other experts, expanding the competency of the new method of information delivery, develop evaluations to track student progress, pinpoint concepts and abilities that pose difficulties for learners. So those are some of examples that will help in supporting the faculty who are on teaching, will enhance their instruction capacity. The third area is, of course, with area of collaboration, articulation of agreements, reducing duplications, creating efficiencies among the different institutions. Those kind of activities, projects leading to those are some of the examples that we are looking for. Again, I invite you to read the RFA on page 10 to 12 details on this. Next, please. The activities that are not funded here, obviously, refurbishing, renovating, either for research, education, or extension space, or purchasing or installing fixed equipments in such space, planning, repairing, rehabilitating, or acquiring construction buildings, land, or facilities. Those kind of activities are not funded. Next, please. So the application details and documents, what do we need to submit? Next, please. With regard to this, as a resource, NIFA has two types of web page for each program. In the case of higher education grant program, we have a web page that is specific to this program, two of those. One is the program page, and the second one, we call it the funding opportunity page. So sometimes it's very important to know this kind of differentiation, what they have to offer each of this. To some extent, the description might be similar, but there are specific things that you will get in each of this website. The first website, I will explain those two in the next slide. Next, please. So the HC program page have if the RFA is posted, it will have a date of posting and some eligibility information on the program, description of the program, and also most important, previously funded projects, which are very helpful for a lot of applicants who are doing it newly for this program. They would like to know what kind of projects are funded through here. The second page is the funding opportunity page, which includes also a link to the grant.gov and for applying to this grant. And also you can download the RFA itself. And to register for this webinar also, the link is there. And important information regarding to the program is also listed there, like the funding opportunity number. This is very important to use it on the grants.gov to search for this program. We also want you to know the program code for this one is ER, and that is very important to include in your application so that we'll be able to track, and it will come to us. Your application will come to us if this code is included. Otherwise, if something else is put on this code, it may go to somewhere else, and that within NIFA, and that is sometimes very difficult to find those proposals. For this year, we are estimate total funding of 4.5 million. In the range of the hour, like I mentioned, from 30,000 to 750,000. Next, please. So the key documents that we want you to submit includes the project summary, which is a common name for it. It's like an abstract. The limit on that is 250 words. There is a specific information on page 17 of the RFA, what we want you to include in there. The project narrative is the second important document. This will also include the response to previous review if you are applying for the second time or resubmitting your application. The project narrative must not exceed 20 pages of double space. You have also additional 5 pages to use for figures and tables. Again, follow all the specification. It's very important you do that so that your proposal will be reviewed. And all this is on page 17 of the RFA. If you have a specific question on those, please send us by email mentioning the page number and the specific area that is confusing you. Bibliography and reference will not be included in the counting. Data management is required. I will explain that. We also want you to submit this year mentoring plan. Also, the details of that is in the RFA, what we want you to include in there. Other document important things that you want to have a look is the application or the grant application website of NIFA. This website has detailed information that are very useful for grant application. Having said that, all the information that is written there can be override by the RFA. So if the RFA said something and the guide of the application of the NIFA said something else, follow the RFA. That is important information I would like to give you. Otherwise, not to give a lower mark for that one, but it has very good detailed information that will help you to prepare your proposal. Next, please. Data management, which is a required document, up to 2 pages of this limit. We want you to include the expected data type, the data format, the data storage and preservation, what is going to look your data sharing protection, how is the public be able to access it, the role and responsibility of the stakeholders involved in accessing this. More detail is again under the NIFA grant application website, as you can see on this link. And also in our RFA on page 24, you can get details of that. Next, please. Cost sharing or matching is not required for this. I think that's straightforward. So you don't need to worry about this. This is something good. I feel good saying it. Next. Application submission. So NIFA only accepts electronic submission of application, and the NIFA grant application guide is available at this website, as I mentioned before. Use it. It's very helpful resource for detailed components of the applications. Application document must be in portable document format or PDF. No other format is accepted. NIFA does not accept other format. The grant.gov may say or accept other format, but NIFA will not. So make sure that you use all your documents are converted to PDF. And as extra advice, use the Acrobat major third party, might create a problem sometimes. Next, please. So once you have finished your proposal, submitted it, you might be curious to know what happens to it. So we have what is called a proposal evaluation process. And this is at NIFA, there is an established process that is working so far excellent. We start the evaluation through the process of administrative screening. And then once we have passed that screening, which are obvious requirements, and then we have a panel of experts that is set up for this purpose for each program. And each proposal will get assigned at least 3 reviewers. And these experts are assigned based on their expertise. So they will have a fair and good insight into what you are proposing. And based on those reviews, they will submit each of them for that proposal an evaluation on the strengths and weakness. And this summary from each reviewer will be presented to the peer review panel, which will be the subject of discussion. And after the peer review panel discuss each proposal based on the review that was given by each reviewer and also added from discussion. What happened to the screen? Okay. And then we have the panel, which will come up with the last rating or ranking of each proposal in relation to other application. So this process is a fair and informative way and more objective process that is already a well-established practice in NIFA. Next, please. So what is the criteria that the reviewers use for this particular program? There are 5 core criteria that we want them to look into. And those are the potential for advancing quality of education, which is in your significance of the problem. The proposed approach and cooperative linkage that you have described, they will look into that criteria. The institutional capacity and also the capacity building effect on this proposal. The key personnel, the personnel that are participating as a team in the project, their capability, their experience, how they fit their expertise with the roles that they are going to have, starting from the PD to the core PD personnels, what we call them key personnels, are also reviewed as a criteria. And finally, but not least, is the budget and the cost effectiveness. So always, the activity that you are proposed, there is enough money allocated for that? Is the money that is allocated appropriately balanced between the different items or different categories? All this budget inquiry, the panel is very good in this because they are one of you. And they go through all these criteria to come up with the ranking. And all this is on page 28 of the RFA. Next, please. So with regard to timeline, about 4 to 6 months for the whole proposal from the beginning of the request for application to the end of our finalized is made is the approximate time that it takes us to, and we'll keep you posted. So always in this case, your patience is asked, because I know you are curious to know whether you have got the award or not, but the process of getting it, doing it right also takes time. So that is what I would like to say here. So this is the rough timeline for also generally competitive program. We are also following for this program. Next, please. So what are additional information we want you to consider? CRIS is one of the resource website. This is the website where all the previous funded projects are located. So if you want to see what has been funded through any program, for that matter, in NIFA, you go to this one and you will find them. For you and your convenience, Sarah has put a link on the website for you to visit specifically for this program. Next, please. Upcoming events and also upcoming RFA are also listed on the NIFA websites. These are the websites, so visit them frequently to learn more about activities, webinar upcoming, and deadlines that are going to be occurring on different programs. So this is a good resource to have a note of or take a picture of this and visit it frequently. Next, please. Many more resources, funding opportunity, competitive grant flow charts, the NIFA grant resource, NIFA policy guide. This is very frequently referred once you have your grant to indicate, certain rules associated with the grant, specific general rules for federal money, and so on is included here, especially NIFA guide for policy-wise. Indirect cost information and other resources that are listed here, we think might be useful for you. Next, please. Specific to this program, like I said, the program web page, the funding opportunity page, and also the link, which is also included in the pages, previously funded projects, to learn more about the type of projects that have been funded through this program. Next, please. Well, we are to the end, and if you do have questions, like I said, you might have put already on the Q&A, so we'll go through them to answer those questions. Any further question, if you haven't raised it today, feel free to send us by email to me or to Sarah, and we'll be happy to address them. Thank you.
Solomon, we have been answering quite a few questions in the question and answer. We do have a few questions regarding the mentoring plan.
Okay.
Yes, that is a new requirement for this fiscal year. Specific details related to the mentoring plan begin on page 23. We have a question: is developing a micro credential within an educational program an appropriate project?
Developing what?
A micro credential within an education program.
Yeah, what is the education program? That depends on the program that is helping or enhancing. So the focus here, like I said, is the baccalaureate or a graduate master's program, or it could be veterinary. In case of the bachelor and the master's, they have to be in food and agricultural science. And if that development is geared to enhancing the program, I think it should be fit. I would like to Donovan to weigh on that too.
All right, could you repeat that question once more, please?
Yes, is developing a micro credential within an educational program an appropriate project?
Yeah, usually when it comes to the appropriateness of a project, we often refer to our panel to make that decision. So those peer reviewers with that expertise, of course, as it aligns within the context of the goals and priorities of the Higher Education Challenge Program.
Yeah, to add on the top of that, as we clearly mentioned on the RFA, USDA does not commit to award certain application or to commit to certain number of awards. And that is the reason is because the process has to go through the panel to get to that decision. So any commitment, when we comment on appropriateness of a project, which means will it be possible to apply on that? And then the review depends on is very competitive in this case on the excellence of that program that you are suggesting or innovation to improve that particular program.
And there was some additional information provided. It's specifically for a food science nutrition program, registered dietitian nutritionist program.
Yeah,
I think that covers.
Yeah, for your in additional information, when we say food and agricultural science, it's a very wide range of area topic that is covered under it. So this program is covered under that.
Another couple of other questions. Wonder if for the CG1 level, can you have more than 2 collaborators, or is it only one collaboration allowed?
Yeah, as soon as you have more than one collaborator in the project, it changes to G2, GC2. So the evaluation would be considered with GC2, because the idea is having more collaboration is to increase the capability to bring more expertise and resources from different institutions. So that's the whole idea of that. So if you can have 2, which means you have enough expertise from the 2 institutions to spend that money, 750,000 to implement into a program that's going to be benefiting both institutions. I mean, more institutions.
Along those same lines, is there a limit to the number of institutes that can apply together?
If it can be clarified, that when together means collaborator.
Yes.
Yes, there is no limit in there.
Okay. In the same vein, can the partners be international universities or NGOs?
Can you repeat that? NGOs?
Can the partners, the collaborators, be international universities or NGOs?
In the RFA, we clearly mentioned that the eligibility requirement is, or the eligibility for application is for the lead applicant. Other collaborators, they don't need to fulfill the eligibility. So as far as they can contribute to the goals and priorities that you are trying to attain, there is no requirements of eligibility for collaborators. I think that will answer the question.
Is a unit within a university or a unit in the department with, oh, I'm sorry, is a unit considered a university, or is a unit a department within a university?
Well, the language that is put on the RFA is it goes to college. To college level, department, school, college. So for a university which has several colleges, if it's in another college, which is, there is another limitation, most of the time this kind of discipline is in one college. So there is, but the language is, it says to college. So if that could, if there is an university that has 2 college of agriculture related discipline, then in that case, they can apply.
There's a few questions here about eligibility, and I will refer you to page 15 of the RFA. Of course, you need to meet all of the requirements in the RFA, but applications may be submitted by any of the following listed on page 15. If a planning grant was submitted and now a standard grant is being applied for, do we include the 1-page summary response from the planning grant?
One thing I didn't mention is the planning activity can be submitted as a way for planning for applying for next collaborative grant or standard grant, but you cannot apply it at the same time, the same year. So in planning activity and project standard or collaborative of the same cannot be applied from the same institution, of course. The question is, do we need to add a planning activity from previous one? Definitely it will make your proposal stronger, but it's not required. Am I correct, Donovan?
Yes, that is correct. It's often viewed pretty favorably when there's a linkage between that previous planning grant and the subsequent grant to show that continuity of ideas.
And moving into some more detailed questions, the RFA states that the funding cannot be used for tuition if the project is focused on undergraduate education and we propose to have a graduate student to develop teaching materials for the project. Can we use the funding to support the graduate student's tuition?
Yeah, there is tricky on the maybe we have to come back to you with this with more research on if you can send us by email the question. Donovan, do you have an answer now?
Generally, stipends are allowed, but tuition and scholarship are not. This may be an instance where this person is added on as someone within the budget, that the budget line is included, but yeah, this is one that we would need a little more information to clarify how your university approaches this as well. So it can be a bit kind of case by case in the language that we use to support graduate students.
Yeah, when it involves in individuals, we really need to know the specificity of that benefiting individuals. Any other question?
Yes. There's a few more questions regarding the mentoring plan. Again, you can find that information starting on page 23, specific to the mentoring plan. It is encouraged for you to include that information. Is it possible to hire a postdoc for helping developing the new courses to enhance the curriculum of sustainable food and agricultural program?
Yeah, again, who are you hiring? That's also important. So in principle, that's one of the aims to promote excellence in produce excellent scientists, which I have mentioned in the priority, but there's some restrictions on the individual type. So in principle, it is possible, yeah.
Can you speak a little bit more about the timeline regarding when we will be notified if we've been funded?
Yeah, we don't have a specific day to mention here, but Sarah, you can mention the yeah.
If 5 figures are embedded into the text, not including at the end several individual pages, and the number of pages is 25, is the proposal still within the acceptable page limit?
If the narrative plus I missed the last part of the figures and tables.
Are the
Yeah.
tables and figures included in the narrative page number?
Yeah, total 25 is acceptable. Yeah, the 5s are in addition to the 20.
Can you speak a little bit to the weight given to the impact and output table during the review process?
The impact and output table to the review process.
Yes.
I don't know if I understood the question well. The review process takes into consideration the whole RFA. Yeah, the entirety of the RFA is read by the panelists, the reviewers. So that is their base of reference when they. So in the RFA, I am assuming that the individual is referring to the impacts, expected impacts that we put in the RFA from different projects. So whenever it says those are the expected one from this type of projects, it's recommended that you do those and makes your proposal stronger. So I would say it will be considered in the review process, and it will be helpful to have those impacts. Does the question answered?
I would also just direct you to page 28, the evaluation criteria in the RFA, which is what is used to evaluate the projects. There's a question. The RFA says that we have to start in September 2023. How does that work with a 6-month review process? Could you direct us to which page you saw that date listed, please? That person wrote that question anonymously.
Yeah, it's the usual schedule of NIFA. Usually we try to work with the stakeholders, convenience of time availability, in this case faculty and teachers. So we are trying to, for this particular program, we are trying to push it back to early, how it was before the COVID. And but in this case, we may not take 6 months the whole. We will try to fit to the budget time. But again, if you can write the page number that refers to the September, as I will address it by email or fix. I don't recall that.
Can you tell us a little bit about what a typical budget looks like for a standard grant of $150,000? I would direct you to the previously funded projects. There's another question that asks specifically about a filter to filter through the different project types within CRIS. I am not sure of that functionality. But there's also a data gateway that I will put that link in the chat, which you can use. There's a little bit more functionality, but I believe there might be a way to filter within Chris. And Donovan, you might know more about filtering within Chris. The link we provided was a summary of all of the previously funded HEC projects.
Yes, so one thing that I will mention is when you click on Chris and you look at each of those Chris reports, what it returns is a non-technical summary. It includes objectives, it includes the approach, and often includes publications. Although we can't filter by the amount, when you click each of the link, it shows the grant amount. And from that, you can infer the grant type that person has. So think about those ranges. So the planning grant, planning and conference, the standard, the CG1 and CG2, what those amounts look like, and that gives a better idea of the grant type.
And circling back to the question regarding the date of September, they're referring to the last day of the fiscal year. So the question is asking, is that given the 6-month timeline, is the project start date, how is that possible for the September 30th is being the end of the fiscal year? And Donovan, I think you.
Yes, so as Sierra has mentioned, this is aligned with the cadence of the fiscal year. And ultimately, the start date of the project is negotiated with NIFA's Awards Management Division. So after these award recommendations are received and processed, a grant specialist is the one with whom you would set the official start date.
Okay, we have a question. We have a researcher that does study agriculture, but they are based in the Department of Biology or Environmental Science. Can that researcher still apply for HEC programming?
Yeah, this is focused on program. So if that researcher is in some way involved in a program that we are targeting in this grant, certainly he could be a PI. That's what the question is probably. Can he be a PI? But like, again, the capability of teaching food and agriculture science is important. So if he's a researcher, sometimes he's teaching a course in a program of food science or plant science of related to agriculture. And certainly that program, if he's a core member of that program, he can do that. Most of faculty who are also teaching courses, part of their appointment could be research. That's okay.
We have a few more questions here. Can there be 2 or more collaborators from the same institution or department, whether it will be considered CG1 or CG2?
Yeah, institution, we have, maybe Donovan may add on this one. We have some definition that we use to differentiate between institution. When we say institution, this institution is applying twice or many times. So we have the number. Do we use the DIN number?
Yes, that's what we use to distinguish whether it's the same entity or a separate one. And I put up those definitions. And for collaborative grant type 2, an application for a project which will involve the applicant institution/organization working in cooperation with 2 or more other entities not legally affiliated with the applicant institution.
Thank you, Donovan. addresses the question, I guess.
And Jean, I think you mentioned your question may have been misunderstood. Solomon, do you want to allow for? Okay, thank you, Jean. That is all of the questions that we currently have in the question and answer.
Okay, I hope you have learned new things to make your proposal a winning proposal. If we don't have any additional question, I'm gonna close the meeting probably. We can call for a couple of questions if you have. Okay, thank you very much for coming today, for attending this webinar. We look forward to your applications. Thank you again.
Thank you all.